then we're going to go to Israel Palestine for like an hour. I but I'd like to be able to talk about things other than Israel and Palestine being so real. What difference does it make? Pretty small difference. A breakthrough alleged racism and peanuts. Former colleagues in the university School of Pathology are fighting over who gets credit for an important paper on peanut allergies. Horrible, annoying. They're all war criminals. I mean, it makes it. Let's talk. Hello.
Hello, how you doing?
What did you send us to talk about?
I just want to ask you, why did Biden run?
Sharon. Why did Biden run? Because he was like, I don't know, he was an old war Democrat that had a lot of history. People knew. Why did he run? Like
Yeah, he
in
just
2020?
He just ran away like a little girl.
Oh no, because he's like mentally not stable.
He was like a month ago pretty good to go. You guys are promoting him. What happened all of a sudden?
Who's you guys? I wasn't.
Yeah, everybody on TikTok was like, go Biden, go Biden.
Did you ever see me saying that?
Yeah, you had a picture of Biden.
You saw me, Will, saying that Biden
You were
was
not
mentally
supporting Biden like 2 days ago?
No.
Who were you supporting? Trump?
No.
Well, then you were not just supporting anybody. Why are you supporting Kamala now?
I'm not supporting Kamala. I just think she's obviously better than Trump, and I think people that are supporting Trump are wildly, like, insane. Do you support Trump?
Yeah, of course. He didn't run away from a fight.
Because he's a fascist. I mean, he's disgustingly fascistic. No. Everything that he scapegoats immigrants for right about every single conceivable issue. That is a fascistic move.
He's protecting the country from every
single workers while actively being funded by corporations. What is he protecting the country from?
Every evil possible. Like, all the migrants coming in.
This is exactly what's strong. I mean, what threat do migrants pose to America?
Millions of migrants are just coming in through the borders. Trump's going to stop that.
Why is that a problem?
Because they're coming in, taking out.
Why is that an issue? Jobs. I mean, my ancestors came in with basically no legal process and literally genocided people.
Yeah, but it's not 1800. It's 2024.
Okay, so why do we get to stop migrants now, though? Because they're not doing harm. Statistically, they're less likely to be criminals. They're less likely to be criminals. They're less likely to.
But they come in and they get benefits that they pay for.
No, on average, they actually contribute more to. So after 1 year, they contribute more to the social safety net than they take on average.
So if somebody who's coming in, so according to you, if somebody's coming in and he's getting, benefits and is not contributing anything to the society, he should be sent back.
No, what I'm saying is that your argument is not based on reality. It's typically based on racism. The reason we're scared of migrants is because they're other, not because we actually see this actual negative economic or social impact.
We should just take the legal, like the system we have, just throw it out of,
No, I think we should have a system of legal immigration, but I think the legal immigration system should be extraordinarily widened. And we should respect our asylum obligations. I think it's disgusting how both sides have lambasted asylum. Do you agree with asylum? Do you think asylum should be a doctrine?
Yeah, if it's for reasonable cause, not for everybody who would just come in and claim asylum.
But that's the system currently.
The system right now, it's they come in, they file for asylum, and it takes like 10 years for it to process.
Well, then we should speed up the process. But the solution is
Trump tried to do that. Trump tried to do that. He actually did that. He changed the asylum from first in, last out to last in, first out. So the case is
that doesn't speed it up, right? That doesn't actually provide more resources. No, it doesn't. It means I mean, it just means that some people wait way longer and some people wait way shorter, but it doesn't actually help the system.
No, it
If he
helps it
wanted to
when,
do it,
like, if somebody comes in,
he would simplify the system.
if somebody comes in right now and applies for it, he would get an answer right away rather than waiting 10 years to get an answer.
Yes, but equally, if someone had come in 2 years prior to Trump and was still waiting, they would wait way, way longer. He didn't actually fund the system more.
Yeah, but it would stop people from coming in falsely, and just using the system and
I mean,
abusing
the number of asylum seekers peaked. I mean, that policy didn't work. The number of asylum seekers increased under Trump's presidency.
And it quadrupled under Biden's presidency.
Yeah, but so the policy didn't work for what it was trying to do then, if that's what you're saying.
It was only used for 2 years before Biden came and changed it.
Yeah, but it didn't
short
work.
span of time.
We didn't see a decrease in asylum seekers. Well, it should work pretty immediately, yeah?
So what do you think about the economy, though? What did Biden do with the economy?
I mean, the economy, what did under the economy?
What do you think about inflation?
Saved us from a recession.
Do you think it's
according to the most recent actual government numbers we have, inflation has decreased following a peak immediately following Biden coming into presidency. So the Inflation Reduction Act did do actually what it was intended to do, which is reduce inflation.
It did not reduce inflation. We all can.
It did. I mean, the inflation coming in was 7 to 9%, and it's now down to
7 to 9%. It was more like 50%.
It was inflation was never 50%.
Yeah. Don't you think it was 50% in your daily life?
Okay, so
where did we get that 7 to 9% from?
I mean, I can get the immediate numbers up.
Because
Yeah, so inflation from 2022 was 8%, which is a 3% increase. And inflation, this only has numbers. Does this have numbers up until 20? No, this only has numbers up until 2022. Let me see if I can get the numbers up for 2024. Inflation 2024, 2023.
And look up the numbers for inflation.
Inflation in 22. Yeah, so inflation in 2024 was 3.2%, and inflation in 2022 was 8%, which is exactly the numbers that I cited to you.
What about 2023? Me paying 50% more.
4%. It was So 2022 was 9.5%. 2023 was 4%, and 2024 was 3%. So Biden has decreased inflation. Yeah.
Biden has decreased inflation. He didn't do nothing.
Yes. I mean, it went from 9.5% to 4% to 3%.
He just stopped inflation, so everything is...
That's a decrease in inflation. 9 is bigger than 3.
Now, why did it go up in the first place?
Because we went through one of the most unprecedented economic activities ever, a complete shutdown of the worldwide economy that had long-ranging supply line issues that are actually affecting overall the world. This is why, according to international, the IMF and international banks, America's economy is actually recovering notably better than a series of other economies. So I think this is wild. I don't like Biden, but to suggest that he hasn't helped the economy with his reforms is batshit insane.
Or it's just the economy acting and correcting itself, and Biden has nothing to do with it.
I love this. That doesn't seem true, right? Because the way that the economy corrects itself is that
everything gets normal.
We regulate changes. We regulate changes.
Everybody goes back to work. We stop paying people crazy amounts of money and child credits and all that.
I love this. Wait, you will believe anything to prevent Biden from having done something good, and then you will believe anything to say
my quality of life has decreased immensely since Biden became president, versus when Trump was president. So I'm just giving it from my experience. Everything went up.
Really? Your quality of life during the pandemic was better than yours right now?
The pandemic, yeah. I had, before the pandemic when Trump was president.
No, but why do you exclude the last year and a half of his presidency?
What do you mean? 2020 February, my life was good.
So during the pandemic? So how was your life?
It was shut down.
Would you rather go back to? Would you rather go back to during the pandemic?
I would rather go back to pre-pandemic. Yeah, of course.
But during the pandemic, would you like that? Because I find this wild. Because
it's a pandemic. Why would I want to go back into a pandemic?
Exactly. Every Trump supporter I ever speak to is like, my life was better under Trump. Oh, but the pandemic doesn't count. Lol. And then we talk about Biden, and we don't give any type of.
So you're saying the pandemic was Trump's fault?
No. What I'm saying is that the economies are not always the president's fault, right? Just like you excused Trump for the pandemic, right? I say, look, contextually, Trump received a dying economy. Trump received a post-recession economy, and he needed to bring it out of that recession. And if we compare it to where it was in the actual economic cycle, he did an incredibly good job, just like Obama did an incredibly good job following or during the 2008 recession. Trump inherited an incredibly good economy. And the growth that we saw under Trump was not what we would expect during a boom cycle of the economy. So yeah, you can look extraordinarily uncritically and say, look, life was better during a boom cycle of the economy. Sure, that's fine. No one would doubt that. The point is that actually what we see is economic growth under Democrats for the past 70 years has been higher and more in line with what we would expect from a actually functioning economy or developed economy than has been under Republicans.
Yeah, so, because there's always been a recession.
If you want to vote,
Republicans were in office.
No, it hasn't.
Yeah.
No, there hasn't. Trump didn't inherit a recession.
When Bush was in office, we had the whole, housing or mortgage crisis. Now, when Trump was in office, we had the whole pandemic issue, which was not Trump's fault. It was.
Well, it ended on it, and Bush also ended on it. But I mean, most of the economic impact following the housing market crash had to be fixed by Obama.
Yeah, but there's only one way to go.
And then, I mean, no, there is not.
Yeah, there is.
Famously.
I think Trump would have done a better job than Biden did with the whole economy.
I mean, he didn't do a better job inheriting a really good. Even if we stop it right pre-pandemic, it wasn't the growth that we would expect.
Unemployment rates were like at the lowest ever been.
Yeah, but once again, they weren't the lowest they've ever been.
They were.
That's not true.
That is true.
They weren't. They were lower in 1920.
I paid less taxes as a business owner when Trump was, president.
That's fine. Once again, it was a boom economy. You didn't while it was COVID, but you excuse him for that. As I'm saying, right, if you want to vote economically, let's talk policy. Do you think that a tariff would help you? So Trump's main policy position this election is a 10% tariff on basically everything.
Yeah.
Do you think that would help you?
10% tariffs on everything coming in, yeah.
Yeah. You think that would help you?
Yeah, because we pay a tariff on rates and stuff.
Incredibly crazy. I think that's insane.
What do you mean?
Tariffs are one of the worst things you can do to a growing, developing economy.
So getting more money from different countries is bad for our system.
Who pays a tariff?
China would pay us a lot of tariff when they're sending stuff in.
Nope. Who pays a tariff?
The government.
Nope, not the government.
Yeah, the seller.
Nope.
Who's trying to sell?
Nope, it's the buyer. The buyer pays a tariff.
So you're saying we're going to pay the tariff?
Yes. Tariffs are one of the most regressive taxes possible because they almost always hit the consumer almost directly. We can't tax China. We can tax our companies or our importers or our exporters, and that's what tariffs hit. Is they hit the U.S. companies or the companies operating in the U.S. or for the U.S. So it would actually be a tax on American people, and it would by and large be a highly regressive tax because it hits the poor a lot more.
So you're saying everything would go up because of tariffs?
Well, yes, it's one of the most regressive taxes you can conceivably do, as opposed to like a wealth tax, or as opposed to a progressive income tax, or as opposed to a property tax, where the rich actually bear the brunt of it. So there are different ways we can do this. And I'm saying that by and large, we shouldn't hit the poor with every conceivable tax, and we should maybe hit the
maybe it would increase like Americans to produce more goods because they don't have to pay the tariffs.
That is the goal, right? But it would extraordinarily depress our economy
Maybe it would
more than it
increase,
would do
like,
that.
American people to buy more American products because it is
That's
less in
that's the
price.
goal. That's the goal. The issue is that if you use a tariff as a general tax, it is so depressing to the economy, right, that it is much, much more difficult to
I
even
think it would
build
create more
those.
jobs to the economy going,
Yeah, you'd be
against the Fed,
wrong.
because
You'd be
it
wrong.
worked for China, it worked for India. Their economies are booming because they do follow the same,
They didn't put a general
economic
tariff on
model.
everything.
Yeah,
That's not true.
if you want to like sell something in India, you have to pay 100% tariff on the price.
Not on everything.
Yeah, on everything.
No,
Same
you
thing in
don't.
China. You can look it
No,
up.
you
I know.
don't.
Just look up tariffs in India. You'll see.
Um, that's not true.
Look it up.
So there was a 25% tariff on Chinese goods on the American side. What does China tariff U.S. goods? How much? What is import duty from China to U.S.? What is import duty? New tariffs on China. Just okay. What is the tariff from from importing to China from U.S.? Yeah, I don't see any claims about a general tariff. There are specific
China would
ones.
never display their information out in the public. Go look up India.
Okay, then how do you know it?
Look up India.
Wait, but why are you making a claim about China if you can't? If
I
they
know
would never
because I've
display
lived in
this
China.
information?
I've lived in China.
Okay, so yeah, so the basic customs duty can range from 0 to 100%.
Yeah.
From 0 to
But
100%.
if you're paying tariffs,
So
why won't
the average applied tariff is 13%.
Yeah, and in India, everything
So
made in
not
India is
100%.
much cheaper. It's much cheaper
So not
to buy.
100%.
So it forces people to buy locally made products
So you
because
lied
it's much
then.
cheaper.
So the thing you said was untrue.
What do you mean untrue? Tariffs is
You said
100%.
you said if 13% is not 100%.
Now look up. I'm talking about automobiles, like cars and stuff.
But you said everything.
No, mostly we sell cars in India.
So say what you mean, because what you said was untrue.
What do you mean
So
untrue?
you're saying
product.
you said the Indian tariff.
India,
on
America.
everything.
What does America mostly like export to India? It's cars.
We do a lot of trade with India. It's not just cars. It's not true. You did say everything, by the way.
I mean,
Yeah, so
everything.
there's
has
100% duty on certain cars,
Yeah,
and then there's
100%.
a 70% duty on
So that
some
makes
cars.
Indians, only the rich
I
Indians buy
understand,
those
but you need to be
cars.
very clear. So it's not even all cars,
Well, it's mostly just 3 companies that we have that export to India.
but it's not all cars. So it's large cars. There's 100%, and then there's a 70% tariff on medium and small.
Yeah,
and then there's
it's
a
much
gold.
higher than the expected 10% or 25%.
You're genuinely just yapping.
So your point is not proven, right?
Well, it means the thing you said wasn't true. Not all cars and not all things. You said all things.
It makes
Mohammed, what do you
tariffs-
think
Hi
we're
there.
supposed to talk about?
It's better for
Either.
American economy.
Wait,
Yeah,
should
what's
I
up,
talk
Sam?
now, or should I wait
Yeah,
for
you're free to.
Stillwater? Okay.
No, you're free
Well-
to talk.
Okay, so I'm voting for Trump this year because, in my opinion, the Democrats have ruined America.
Why?
They screwed up the gas prices. They screwed up with inflation. All this gay crap they're
What did they
promoting at
do to
public
increase
schools.
inflation?
Sorry?
What did they do to promote inflation? Because every single act I've seen that they've done, if you actually look at the policy, would only reduce inflation. So what have they done to increase inflation?
But how come the prices of gas and food has increased?
Well, actually, due to any given one of their actions, it has decreased the cost. So when Biden
It
opened
hasn't.
up new when Biden opened up new oil leases to oil industry, that would decrease the price of gas. When
He
he
did it.
directly
It
subbed,
increased.
he did.
No, no, because
increased the amount of he
for
increased the
one
amount of
reason,
federal oil leases.
William, he cut down the Keystone pipeline, which increased the price of gas.
I don't think he cut down the Keystone pipeline.
The Democrat Party did. The Biden administration, whatever.
Did he?
Yeah, when on this, I believe, his first week in office.
Canceling the Keystone pipeline. Why did he cancel it? Well, oh, because we didn't have the right to do it in the first place. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, we didn't have the right to do it in the first place because it was in native lands. So yeah, I agree with that. I think we should respect our treaties with native people.
No, the Keystone pipeline ran through Canada to the Gulf of Mexico. So it was in
yes,
US
and it ran through
territory.
it ran through. Well, I mean, you realize that the U.S. has multiple nations within it, right?
Yeah, I'm aware of that, but it ran through America.
But it ran through nations that, you know, we do not have sovereignty over, which are the Native Americans nations.
Yeah, but it ran
So
through
do you
America.
think we just should disrespect? Do you think we should disrespect our treaties with the natives?
Sorry, repeat that?
Do you think we should disrespect our treaties with the natives?
Yeah, I think we should annex them.
Whoa, why? You don't think we should follow through with our international obligations?
No, because they're worthless, and I guess that'll
you're just
benefit us
racist.
economically, in my opinion. I'm not a racist. I'm an immigrant.
Who's worthless? What is worthless?
I believe their governments in place are useless.
And I believe our government in place is useless. Why does that give the right for us to disrespect them? Do you think we should
That's not
break
disrespect, that's helping. Like in Puerto Rico.
We wouldn't be helping them.
Why is that?
I mean, by and large, they do comparatively well compared to us. I mean, like the Sequoia are doing incredibly well. So you just think we should take away Native people's rights because some of them are poor.
No, I'm not saying that we should take away their rights. We should.
But they have the right to that land. We've recognized the right to that land, and so has the international community. Under the UN Charter that we signed on to, and basically every international organization that exists, they have the right to that land, and they have the right to have sovereignty over it. Why should we disrespect Native people's sovereignty?
Because they don't deserve the land, because they're not doing anything with it.
I mean, they are. Some of the richest oil industries in America actually are Native people. I forget the sovereign wealth on the U.S. Natives. I forget which one. There's one that's incredibly wealthy off of selling oil rights. So that's just not true.
Okay. Wait, can we move on to another topic?
He also did massively expand. He did also massively expand oil leases in federal oil reserves. So no. He also released something like a few million of our reserve barrels of oil to exactly decrease the cost of oil. So what policy? So you say Keystone Pipeline? I remember.
Trend. The gas prices, they haven't decreased in my state. They've actually been increasing.
The increase in gas prices has decreased, so the inflation has reduced.
But the prices
as we've covered. Well, the prices were also lower under Trump, and they were lower under Obama. That's how inflation works.
Well, the price will decrease if the inflation, I think, is if it's a negative number. If it isn't,
and inflation hasn't been negative for the past 20 years.
Therefore, the price
basically never had deflation in America.
Therefore, the price will keep on increasing.
Yes,
and because Sleepy Joe, he does not know how to put two sentences together.
No, it's because that's how inflationary infinite growth economies work. We can talk about the problems with infinite growth economies, but they do just work like that. Oil prices we can talk about specifically. I mean, his dealings with OPEC decreased our cost of oil, right? His increase in selling federal lands for oil tycoons would decrease our cost in oil, right? His release from the emergency reserve of oil decreased the cost of oil. So all of the policies actually decreased the cost of oil. You're just saying that, oh no, we have an inflationary economy. Yes, we have always had
I
an
don't.
inflationary economy
Yeah, but how come the prices of gas, the oil is still increasing? For me, it hasn't
because that's how
decreased.
inflation works, love.
Yeah, because of Biden. It's his fault.
No, I mean it increased under Trump as well, just not
Yeah,
as
but not as
much.
much as Trump.
And then under
Trump,
Trump, no, actually, I'm going to take that back. It did increase a lot more under Trump if you're counting pandemic years.
the
But
increased
everyone
under
gives him a
Trump.
pass for that.
If you didn't count COVID, then
Yeah,
Biden would have increased it a lot more if you haven't counted COVID.
let's count
Until
COVID. Let's
until
count COVID. If we count
2019,
COVID, Biden decreased the cost of gas.
he decreased. No, he didn't.
If we count COVID, he did, yeah. Oil during COVID and oil during the tail end of COVID that Biden inherited was a lot more expensive.
Okay.
So,
Wait, can we discuss about Biden's policies?
sure, what policy do you want to talk about?
I don't agree with his open border policy, with him letting illegal
He doesn't have an open border
aliens.
policy. He is more anti. He has done more to stop migrants than Trump did.
How so? Trump is.
I hate him for it. His draconian shutdown of asylum seeking
That's
is
good.
illegal. Yeah, it's illegal though, and it is exponentially more restrictive than anything Biden did or anything
The
Trump
people,
did.
the people in the chat who calling me a Zionist, I'm Syrian. Why would I be a Zionist when Israel attacked my country? You guys are pathetic.
Wild. I mean, yeah. So Biden has deported more people. Biden
He
has
has
built
not
more of the wall
deported
than Trump
anyone.
did.
No, he has not. Biden has let them stay in our nation, and these people are in our houses. They're stealing
Yeah.
jobs. They're
So under Biden, 775,000 unauthorized migrants were removed or returned, more than any previous fiscal year since 2010. So in at least 1 year, he deported more people than any other president since 2010.
sorry.
So once again, he deported 775,000 unauthorized migrants.
No, he's not.
And the
That is not true. What source are you using?
I mean, migrationpolicy.org.
The migration policy is controlled by
So
commies.
Migration Policy Institute.
It's owned by commie media.
I mean, do you know who this is? Do you know who Migration Policy? It's a nonpartisan Migration Policy Institute. Yeah. So no, it's not owned by commies. And no, you're also wrong. It's citing federal data on that.
So, what about the why did the Biden administration decide to, I guess, restrict Texas from protecting their borders from the illegal migrants?
Repeat that.
Why would the Biden administration restrict Texas from controlling their own borders? Why would they try to send
because border protection is within federal purview, and the way they were doing that was the Rio Grande draconian shit, wasn't that? When they put razors in the Rio Grande? Yeah, that's
but that's for
illegal.
a reason. That's to stop
but it's
them
illegal.
from
It's
coming.
torture. That's torture.
I'm aware that's torture, but
That's unconstitutional. Do you hate America? Do you think we should, do you like the American Constitution?
I hate. I don't believe that America is the greatest nation. However, I believe that Trump.
Yeah, but do you believe in Trump loves the Constitution, supposedly. That is cruel and unusual. That is cruel and unusual treatment.
But
that's
William,
unconstitutional. That's un-American.
William, if that's what it takes to stop them from coming, then why don't they do that?
So if you have to compromise American values and tradition to protect American values and tradition, then you're willing to do it. Okay.
Yeah, if Biden is not going to do anything, then why can't the Texas government?
Biden is doing it. He has removed or deported, or removed or returned more unauthorized migrants than Trump did. He is doing a lot. He built more of the. I mean, the Cato Institute also agrees with this. So we have two sources. Do you think the Cato Institute is also funded by commies?
No, not at all. No.
Okay, I mean, the Cato Institute is making the exact same claim. Oh my
William,
God, thank you so much.
William,
Just the person that sent $100 on my PayPal. Very cool.
congrats.
Let me.
William, can I ask you something? Let me state this. So the reason Biden's deportation numbers is actually a lot higher than Trump's is because so many more illegal migrants have been entering this nation. About roughly, I think, over 5 million, migrants, and Biden only kicked out 700,000. That's not good enough. It should be all of them.
Oh shit! Wait one second. Let me see.
Are you
Can you
okay?
still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Let's see if I can. Pause live. Pause live. Okay. Now, put my camera. Hey, there we are. Genius. Okay. I mean, do you have data
William.
supporting that?
Sorry, just look up on the source how many illegal migrants have entered the USA and compare it
I mean,
with.
so this is not actually like, so this was from 2020, 2022 and 2023. So that argument wouldn't even work, really, because he implemented one that drastically increased border protection, right, following March 2020 and March 2023. And then following the end of Title 42, he removed 775 unauthorized migrants. This doesn't actually function as a concept. And then following the period where you're talking about, which is 2023 and 2024, his deportations decreased because we returned to a policy of much stricter border control. So you're wrong.
No, we haven't.
Like, this is not the correct analysis. Okay, why did he build more of the border wall than Trump did?
He didn't. He didn't. He actually stopped it. And in fact, if that's the case, if he built more, then why are more illegal migrants entering?
Okay, Texas Tribune. Biden administration presses forward with border wall. Biden administration says it's using executive power to continue border wall construction. Border wall. Explain. Right.
Then why would more migrants enter? How is that possible?
Why are more? So once again, what we're talking about is migrant interactions on the border. So the number you're referencing is the amount of time that illegal migrants interacted with American state officials. And you know what one side of that equation is?
Tell me.
How much protection we have on the border. So the more protection we have on the border, the more we're going to catch illegal migrants on the border. So the fact that there have been more interactions on the border. If we had no one on the border, there'd be zero interactions. Is that a good thing? No. Biden has pumped the border full of more militarized people and more technology, i.e. the border wall, to cause more interactions. That's what's happening. There has been a slight increase in the amount of people attempting to come into America, right? But by no means, that's due to a series of economic factors in other countries, which we caused, by the way, so we should take responsibility for it, but that's besides the point. So there are more migrants slightly coming in, but the reason we have exponentially more interactions is because Biden is investing in what is already one of the most militarized non-war borders in the world. The border doesn't need more protection. We have one of the most protected non-war borders in the world, second only to North and South Korea.
William, can I ask, where are you on the political spectrum? Where would you...
I'm communist.
You're kidding me?
No.
You're communist?
Yes.
Really? Tell me a communist country that succeeded.
Tell me a capitalist country that succeeded.
A capitalist?
I mean, Vietnam is pretty successful.
Vietnam has a mixed market.
Party.
Vietnam has
Everyone
a mixed market.
There's not a single country in this world that doesn't have a mixed market. There's no single country that is just capitalist or just communist. Okay, and then there are no successful Do you consider yourself a capitalist?
I would. A radical.
Okay, name me a single country that's only capitalist.
Oh, neither. There's no such thing as
Exactly. So this is a stupid argument that wastes everyone's time, right?
No.
What I mean is that I want, because obviously nothing aligns with either of our perfect ideological worlds ever, right? But we can talk about specific policies, right, that we want to see implemented and the efficacy of those specific policies, not large scale idiotic, like human, historic revisionism. Right. Let's talk about actual policies. I think we should nationalize most major industries. I think that we
I don't
should
agree.
start with
No, we
nationalizing
shouldn't.
healthcare. And okay, I know your opinion, right? But let's talk about actual policies. And when we talk about actual policies, it doesn't look like capitalism turns out very well. But why are you asking me about this? I don't. Let's talk about the border. Migrants help America. So
No, they
migrants
don't.
are generally
Illegal migrants don't.
migrants are on average less criminal than American-born citizens.
No, they're not.
Migrants
That's
are on
bullshit.
average. I mean,
That's
okay,
bullshit.
bring me statistics.
Bring your statistics. Look up the African Americans crime compared to white Americans.
Sorry, do you think most immigrants are African American?
African Americans are originated
Today,
from
immigrants
Africa.
are 30% less likely to be incarcerated than a U.S.-born individual who are white. The analysis expanded to include African Americans who are higher rates. The likelihood of an immigrant is 60% lower than those born in America, and that is according to Stanford Institute of Policy Research.
Okay. Well, William.
So you're wrong.
No, I'm not wrong. You're
So
wrong.
I want less criminals in this country, by the way.
You want
and so
more
I think we should have
criminals
more
by letting
migrants.
these illegal aliens in our nation and giving them.
The only thing that's making them illegal is your racist rhetoric. I think
I'm not
that
racist.
we should have people that are. I mean, the core of this is racism, right? Because the only reason, why do you believe they're more criminal? Because the statistics show that they're not.
They're more criminal because they're entering the nation without like.
I mean, when they
they're
claim
not allowed to
asylum,
enter the
when they
nation.
claim asylum, they are legally allowed to enter the nation.
No, they're not. They to claim asylum.
Yep, they
you have
are.
to. No, you need documents to enter a nation.
Nope.
Yeah, you do.
No, you don't. No, you
Crossing
don't.
over the border and claiming for asylum is just a side hustle.
You don't have
That's
to. You
what
don't
it
have
is.
to enter on a. You don't have to enter. You don't have to enter on a recognized legal crossing to claim asylum. That's not true.
That's not fair. So, sorry, how's that considered legal?
You can disagree because when you claim asylum, you have the legal right to enter.
No, you don't.
We agreed to that. I mean, you're wrong. The treaties that we signed following, World War II, do not require you to enter on a legal crossing point. Do you think we shouldn't have signed those treaties?
No, I don't believe we should have because these illegal migrants.
Do you know why we signed those treaties?
Yeah, I know why.
To prevent the Holocaust from happening again. You understand that, right? It was to prevent. It was to stop what happened during the Holocaust happening again.
Can you elaborate? Why is that?
The reason we signed those treaties was so that if something similar to the Holocaust happened again, which it has, and we failed, by the way, but if something similar happened again, we would accept political asylum seekers and people who would be politically persecuted or racially persecuted in their home country into our country.
No, William.
It was explicitly made because we turned Jews away from the Holocaust. No, don't do that. So the direct question is, do you think we should not have signed this law that was explicitly agreed to prevent the atrocities of the Holocaust from happening again?
Well, William, hear me out. Hear me out for a second. To enter a nation, you need, first of all, you need documents. And when you enter the nation, you need to go to a specific. You cannot just jump over a wall and then go to the nearest asylum camp and then say you're.
I'm repeating you. That's what we agreed to prevent the Holocaust from happening. So answer the question.
Do
you think we shouldn't have agreed to it? Do you think we should? Do you think it was right that we turned away Jews from the Holocaust?
Sorry?
Do you think it was right, like the immigration policy we had during the Holocaust, where we turned away like hundreds of Jewish immigrants that ended up dying?
Yeah.
You think that was right?
Yeah.
What's up, brother?
Yo, what did you send a guest request to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, listen. Well, firstly, you should definitely be asking people how old they are, but whenever they join. But I'm an adult, over the age of 18. One thing that I got to
I
tell you,
take
I think
guesses off
your
of
heart,
voice.
your heart is definitely in the right place. I think that you have a good heart. I think you're a good-hearted person. But with that being said, I think that the worst thing that you could do is start listening to politics, whether it's left or right, before the age of 25 and before you actually fully understand everything. Because
I think the
what's going to
worst
end
thing
up
you could do
happening
for
to you,
politics is
hold on,
ignore the young people with new
right,
perspectives based
right.
on education and
I believe
academia.
this as well. I believe this as well when I was your age, and it's not about education and academia. It's just about life experience. When I was your age, I was a hard leftist. I'm assuming you're around the age of 18, 19?
Look, this is totally irrelevant, right? If you
Right.
don't
So, no,
think that it's,
okay, but
if you
listen,
don't think
I'm
that,
trying to make
if
a
you
point
don't
to
think
you,
that
brother,
my,
brother,
wait,
brother.
I
Just
don't
listen,
care.
listen,
Wait, no,
please. I'm
no, I
begging you.
won't. No, you're free to speak after I am. If you don't think I should have a voice in politics, you don't have to engage with my voice in politics. I think this is highly disrespectful and totally across the point. Historically, college students and young people have had some of the most well-aged political opinions ever. We were anti-Vietnam War, we were anti-South African apartheid, right? Generally anti most of the atrocities that happen in this world. We are the loudest, most consistent, and most correct. So if you want to go back in history and play this game, right, we can do that. But I think telling me that it's really bad to start engaging in politics prior to 2020, prior to 25 is mind-numbingly stupid.
Develop your frontal cortex, learn who you are as a human, and then pick a political agenda to follow. That's the best advice I can give you. You'll realize I was right once you're 25. Until then, God bless and enjoy your day.
The utmost amount of hubris. I also love that I'm able to engage in an actual political discussion and he's not. And it would seem that he thinks he is more qualified to talk about politics than I am. That is rude, everyone. If you ever feel so called to do that, don't. Hello, what did you say to guest request to talk about? Hello, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
What did you say to
Biden
guest
knew his
request to talk
time
about?
was over. Biden knew his time was over, and now he got out. So,
I
and
can
he
barely
put
hear you. I think
Kamala
you're
in.
covering your mic. I think you're
No,
covering
he
your
put
mic.
Kamala in. He put Kamala in for a reason. Okay, can you hear me fine?
Yeah, I think
Hello,
so. Why do you think he put Kamala in?
because he knew that he was going to lose. There's no way he can win,
Yes.
and there is no
Yeah, I agree.
replacement for him.
I
You
think
know that
Kamala's a
Trump
fine
is going to
replacement.
win. No, it's not for whatever reason. For whatever reason, and this is not a position I'm taking. America right now does not want to see a black president, and they don't want to see a woman president for whatever reason. I'm not saying it's good
Because
or
they're
it's
being
bad.
told by a
They just
fascist that
don't want to.
black people are trying to replace white people. Yeah, of course. But the
No,
polls
but I'm
actually
telling
show
you
Kamala
that
pretty
Trump.
much competitive with Trump. But we can talk prognostically, but I don't really give a shit to talk prognostically, because that just comes down to looking at polling data and doing an analytical game here. Who do you support?
No, you want to take a normative position on who's better or who's better. No, if you look at who has accomplished the most, and I define accomplishments by who has changed the material conditions of American citizens, it absolutely is Trump. Out of any president in American history, Trump has done more for the American people than any other president.
Sure.
Even
What
George
specific
Washington.
policies are you talking about? What
The
specific policies are you talking about?
Trump tax cuts helped out
The
tremendously
Trump tax cuts was
the middle
not.
class.
The Trump tax cuts were less than the Ronald Reagan tax cuts. So how could, let's talk historically. If you want to stand up by your claim, the Trump tax cuts were less than the Ronald Reagan tax cuts. So explain that one to me.
It's not just tax cuts, though, Will. That's what you're forgetting.
Well, but let's talk policy by policy.
Right.
So tax cuts, Ronald Reagan did more for tax cuts than Trump did. What other policy?
Well, I know that, but the thing is, when Ronald Reagan did that, the gross taxes were almost at their highest. You are aware of that, right? When he cut them, and so, but if you look
Income
at how
taxes
much he cut them,
Income
yes, but
taxes
I'm
were
saying if
corporate taxes were not.
no, he reduced the corporate taxes from 32% to 21%, I believe, or 30 something percent to 21%.
And
And
actually, Ronald Reagan's tax cuts were more progressive. They helped the poor more than Trump's tax cuts did. So, from my view, Ronald Reagan's tax cuts were actually preferable and more impactful and affected the material conditions more. So that
well, that's just not
policy
true.
position.
That's just not true.
I mean, okay. I mean,
If you look
as
at
an
how many,
actual matter as an actual matter of like per capita purchasing power effect that the Ronald Reagan tax cuts had, they had a larger impact on more people.
and you control for inflation.
Of course, purchasing power. That's what I said.
So, okay, so, well, I mean, even you can just look at PPP and not look at inflation, and the data can be skewed in that manner. But I'm saying that
Well,
if you look,
power of PPP, yeah.
well, all I'm
Purchasing
saying
power,
is
yes.
that, and we know that purchasing power has declined, and it always will decline. But all I'm saying is that if you look at the tax cuts in relative terms to where taxes were before they were cut, Trump's were larger. They were.
I don't know what you mean by that. So what? So if there was a 50% wealth tax during Ronald
Wealth?
Reagan's
What do
time,
you? How do you
and
define as wealth tax?
I just want to give an example. Just hear me out
Inheritance?
here.
I don't think we have a wealth tax. We don't have a wealth
We have had
tax.
wealth taxes historically. I mean, we have death taxes. Death taxes, wealth
That's
taxes, but
inheritance.
whatever.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a wealth tax. But okay, if we had, I don't know, upper income.
Well, it's not taxing the
bracket,
wealth
white,
itself. It's taxing the transfer of the wealth. It's not taxing the wealth itself. That would be a wealth tax, saying you have this, your net worth is this amount, you have to pay this much. A inheritance tax is just saying if you
semantics.
turn this.
You know that.
I think we have to be very precise with our words.
Well, it is a wealth tax. You're taxing the wealth. But when we typically say wealth, we don't mean that. But sure. You're just playing semantics. You know what I'm referencing. So, okay, let's say there was a 20% inheritance tax under Reagan, and he reduced it to a 10% inheritance tax. If there was a 15% inheritance tax under Trump, and he reduced it to a 10% inheritance tax, Ronald Reagan changed this more. Like, because he took away 10 rather than 5%. I don't think it matters where you're starting from, right? It just matters how much you've taken down. And demonstrably, right, Ronald Reagan reduced the actual tax burden, the felt tax burden, on more people to a greater degree than Trump's did. We know that. I mean, the numbers make this extremely clear.
Even if this were the case, I'd have to look at the numbers, but even if this were the case, let me just use your analogy just for one moment. If the taxes, if income taxes were north of 50%, 60%, even 70%, and you reduce them down to 50%, which one is better, doing that or reducing them from, say, I don't know, 50% down to 20%? I think that is much better. All I'm saying is, relative to where we started, where taxes were before the cuts, Trump did much better. But even if you don't look
Well,
at,
I mean, so income taxes are weird because you get into the bracketing issue.
Yes.
Right. So that's why I didn't use income tax, is because it would actually be very complicated to explain precisely how the effect of income taxes and the different ways you can do it, right? So I don't love the use of income taxes because, like, the numbers still back me up on income taxes. It just makes the argument more complicated.
But also,
right? So, but like with inheritance tax or with like sales tax is a great example. If you reduce sales tax on stuff or oil tax, it doesn't really matter where you start from. If there was a 20% oil tax or a 30% oil tax, a 10% cut is a 10% cut, and a 5% cut is a 5% cut. It doesn't matter where you're starting from because it's the same amount of money. So no, I don't buy this premise at all.
I mean, sure, but all I'm saying is, even if you look at the effects they had, not just by how much they cut them, but also on corporate tax, the effects were, I mean, just outsized, really, because you had many corporations that before the Trump tax cuts, who had factories and production plants all across the world, Once they knew that this was cut, they brought them all back to the U.S. So he didn't just cut taxes for middle class people; he also brought jobs for them. He also reduced down taxes
I mean,
on.
so economic the curve of economic growth was higher under Obama than it was under Trump.
We're
So
not talking about Obama, right? Obama received an economy that was in the bottom. There was nowhere for him to go up, then up.
so the thing is then Trump received quite a booming economy, and then he failed to grow it further than we would expect him to.
Well, that's why you have to
So
control for COVID. He had no control over COVID. That's why you have to
I
control
mean, he
for
did
it.
have some control over COVID,
No,
but
about
not
the
all. You're
economic
right.
effects of COVID. I
Yeah,
mean,
I mean, even if we
he
cut
can't
off,
control
even
the
if we cut off the
virus.
point,
He can't just
I
snap his
mean,
finger and say
he
we're going
does
to cut
his
off the virus.
policy. He does have policies that affect it, right? But I agree. Even if we start at the point of, and equally that would mean you have to control for COVID when Biden comes in, right? So
Sure.
if we're controlling for okay, and we would also have to control for how international affairs work. So if there was a supply side issue, that maybe would hurt Biden internationally.
Not if no. You don't, I know you're referencing Ukraine right now. No, Biden had
No,
a
no,
direct
no, no.
hand. What are you
No,
talking
I'm
about?
not. I'm not referencing Ukraine. I'm referencing the worldwide supply side issues that Biden inherited from the COVID pandemic that have consistently tanking our economy still. But Biden, actually, so on average, so if we compare comparable places, France, Germany, and England had higher economic growth following the 2008 recession um, during Trump's term than we did in America. Right. So that's how you do this comparison. Right. Pretty much all of our contemporary G7 nations had higher economic growth during the Trump era than we did. On the other hand,
Is this
and
before
that's
COVID?
comparable because they were in similar situations pre-COVID, yeah. And then on the other hand, post-COVID, under Biden, the G7 nations recovered from COVID slower and worse than we did. France, Germany, and the UK had slower economic growth than America did.
But this was due to the
So
interest rates
that
that were at record low. The interest rates were at 0.1% after COVID. This was due to interest rate being at a
why would those affect America and not England?
because England and the BOE, the Bank of England, did not cut rates as much as we did. So you'd have to control for that also.
Why would we have to control for that? That is specifically to reduce inflation.
Because cutting rates?
Also, they did cut
No,
rates.
cutting rates is just to induce inflation, not to reduce it. But
Yeah, sorry, to induce economic recovery. But
yes,
yeah, so we economically recovered much quicker than England and France and Germany.
that's because
And
they did
also
not cut.
now our inflation within the past year is lower than England and France and Germany. So
No,
so
we
on both economic growth, on both I mean
no. With these numbers, you'd have to say who reached the. I don't know if you know this, but the euro area and the UK, their economies are just not. When you talk about inflation or whatnot, they're not really comparable to ours. They've had significant long due effect due to the 2008 recession. So their economies generally grow at a much lower rate than ours. So all I'm saying
well
is
they
you'd have to
didn't
look
under
at when you're
Trump.
saying
Our economy grew slower under Trump
where,
compared to
and you
England.
said this is pre-COVID. Where are you getting these numbers from? So I can look at it. Where are you getting the fact
Yeah,
that pre-COVID
I mean
they grew,
The World Bank did this analysis.
and you're measuring GDP, right?
We were measuring economic growth.
Give me 1 second because I really don't believe this. I'm going to look at 2018 or 2017 to say 2020. Those 3 years, I'm going to see who grew more because it doesn't sound right to me.
Okay. Can you all hear me, by the way? I think my screen keeps freezing. Wait, I'm gonna
Yeah,
I'm gonna
no,
restart the live.
no,
Okay.
it's not true. It's not true.
What data you got?
The data I have is that those 3 years, 2017 to 2020, the U.S. was growing at a much higher rate than the euro area. And also in 2020, ours went down by 2.3%, and theirs went down by 6 point something percent. So it's not true. And even in the 2017 and 18 and 19,
Yes, that's precisely what I was. Sorry. So with COVID,
ours
yes,
grew
they were
much
hit
more.
harder than we were.
No, you said
With
that
COVID and during
pre-COVID,
COVID.
when you're saying
Yeah,
from
during
the
Trump.
time that Trump
So what
got
year is
in to before COVID, that our economy was growing at a slower rate than Europe's. That's not true.
It was. Okay, where'd you get the
Look,
numbers?
from a website that compiles economic data called Macro Trends. Very reputable site. I use it in my own personal works too.
Great. So 2020. Yeah, let's see. So 2028, Canada and France. So 2.7 and 1.8, and America had 3.9. 2029, America had 2.4, 1.9,
2029.
1.8. No, 2020, 2019. Let's see, 2017. Oh yeah, no. Okay, 2017, the one I'm noting on here. This is the numbers I was looking at. So Canada, 3%, France, 2.2%, US, 2.46%, Germany, 2.68%, United Kingdom, 2.66%. So yeah, that's what I was referencing. So France, the UK, and Germany all had higher growth rates. Canada had a significantly higher growth rate.
Yeah, I mean, you're picking. This is selectively choosing what data you look at. You're just picking one country.
I'm looking at 1 year. You're
I can,
looking at 2 other years.
like in 2022, Guyana's economy grew at a 50% rate. I can't just say, oh, look, their economy is much better than the U.S. I can't make that claim. That's just selectively picking the country and the year. Very nonsensical argument. Economies grow.
It's selective when I look at a year, and it's not selective when you look at a year.
No, I looked at a specific time frame and then compare them to compare the U.S.'s economy to another economy that is 17, 18, 19, and then 20.
Well, you're wrong for 2017.
Okay, so then 18, 19, 20. Those 3 years.
So just 18 and 19, really, because 20 was different.
Oh, no, you have to look at, I mean, okay, sure, those 2 years.
So those 2 years and not the 1 year. Okay, so it's selective when I talk about 1 year, but it's not selective when you talk about 2 years.
No, I'm saying that you're picking specific countries that grew at a higher rate than the U.S.
My point
France
was G7 countries.
That's not really. I mean, you have to compare it to the euro area, not just G7.
No, I don't.
G7 is not a formal.
Because not all but the euro area isn't all comparable, right? The economy of Andorra, or of Liechtenstein is going to be affected and look much, 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 much different than the economy of Germany. Whereas the economy of Germany is going to look a lot more similar to the American economy. So no, I don't.
But it is a formal group. It is a formal economic bloc. The G7 isn't. It's just a bunch of allies.
Yeah, because they have pretty comparable, large-scale industrialized or post-industrialized economies, so that they're really helpful for comparison, and that's why people engage in comparison of them. But yeah, I just disagree that Trump did a whole lot for our economy. I mean, like, the data shows that either it grew at roughly the same rate, or in some years worse. We could talk about like that. It doesn't.
You brought up inflation earlier.
Large scale. It doesn't look like he had this large scale boon to our economy that was out of the ordinary. He was pretty much in line with G7, if slightly behind.
You brought up inflation. I mean, under Biden, inflation has reached almost a 50-year high in 2022.
I mean, wasn't inflation higher under COVID?
No, inflation went down in COVID. That's what happens when economic production decreases. Inflation goes down when recessions happen.
Oh yeah, it was like extraordinarily low. But that was because there was basically no economic activity. Yeah, and then he inherited this. Yeah, but you would expect inflation to follow a pandemic. Yeah.
Yeah, to get to levels of normalcy, but not to reach 50-year highs, almost near
But it
50-year
was like,
highs.
yeah, but you would expect this when it's one of the largest effects ever. And also, we are reaching normalcy, right? We're reaching 2024 and 2023 was like 3 and 4%, or 3%, and then we're down to like what, 2% in 2024?
That
Yeah,
1%
2%.
difference.
No,
Well,
I agree
no,
it's significant, but 3% is pretty. 3%
no, no.
seems pretty
I'm
typical.
looking
So
at
2017 was 2%, 2018 was 2.4%. So inflation actually increased at certain points in Trump's presidency.
well, that's a good thing.
Uh,
We're not talking about just a increase in inflation. We're talking about because a 2% target is the Fed's target, 2% inflation target, a 2% band, I guess you can say, upper band, lower band. Under Biden,
yeah, that's fine. But like,
it reached 9%. That's not
yes,
close
but
to
then it's since
2%.
gone down, which
And
like it's since gone down dramatically.
okay, and that's a great thing. But what I'm saying is the
Yes,
American people have been hurt.
and
If
it's
you
also
ask the American
Biden's
people,
responsibility.
if say that again.
It was Biden's policies that did that, where it was a direct
What
necessity that he increased
what
inflation following
policies did he implement?
the
No, it
Inflation
was the
Reduction Act,
Fed.
brother.
The Inflation Reduction Act is a fiscal spending. It isn't really a monetary policy, and monetary and fiscal policies have
You don't
little
think
to
that
no
fiscal
effect on.
policies?
No, monetary policy has
Wait, sorry.
90%
Your
of the
position
weight.
is that your policy,
90%.
your view is that the Inflation Reduction Act had nothing to do with reducing inflation. That's your view?
Minimal, minimal, minimal. It is.
Okay.
You look at what economists
Then
say.
everything
It
else was
has,
just done
and
by the
this is a
Fed. And then, wait, then everything else was just done by the Fed. But that argument means that, like, inflation and the economy as a whole is just done by the Fed then. In
well.
which
The
case,
Fed is not a
Trump's.
reactive. It's not. It's a proactive tool. It's a proactive
Sure.
institution.
No, I
It
agree.
always.
But that's neither. It's an
I'm sorry.
independent institution as well.
I meant reactive, not proactive. It's not a proactive.
Yeah. But it
It
means
reacts
that
to the situations. It doesn't cause them.
But that means that if you're going to say, well, all this inflation reduction under Biden was really just because of the Federal Reserve, then any inflation metrics were really just because of the Federal Reserve, and that would apply to Trump as well.
No, but Biden did have a hand to play in the increase in inflation we saw, and that is directly due to his policies and his
Fiscal spending
engagements
policies.
with one of the world's largest petroleum producers, Russia.
His
His
fiscal policies is what you're
policies,
referencing?
no,
Or his foreign policies?
his foreign policies, right? The way he interacted with Russia, who's one of the,
Didn't
I
it?
think, top five
I
oil
mean,
producers in the world.
didn't Trump, like, increase the tariff war against China? And tariffs are one of the most inflationary conceivable policies.
Tariffs are tariffs are not really inflationary policies. No,
What? Of course they are. They're
they can
highly
have an
regressive.
inflation, but
They're high. They have almost exclusively inflationary effects. The tariffs
how?
themselves.
How?
Well, how do they have almost exclusionary inflationary
They have a
effects?
significant
Because
effect
they
on
almost,
labor, but not
yes, they
the
increase the
goods.
cost of goods almost directly. They have an almost. I think the transfer rate to the consumer is something like 93 to 97%. That's direct inflation.
No, I understand that, but I'm saying that the effects that
So they're
tariffs have
highly inflationary.
on overall inflation levels is not significant. It's mainly monetary policy and just the way the economy works. And the president does have an effect on the way the global economy works, and the way he interacted
And
with Russia
so does.
by bombing
So
their
you
oil
blame
rigs.
you blame Biden for Russia, fine, right?
Yes,
I blame,
and when
but
we
like
restrict,
the thing is he accounted for that by massively. So first of all, the shock from the reduction in oil from Russia was accounted for by our release of like a few million barrels of oil from our emergencies. And then we increased and ramped up production such that I think we're the closest to energy independence since like Obama under Biden. So I don't actually see how this argument's going. And also, oil prices are going down within the past year and a half. So do you give Do you give Biden credit for that?
For oil prices decreasing, well, I mean, I do give credit to him for
Okay.
increasing production, but I also would say that we have to criticize him for the way that when he increased royalties from, I think, 12% to 19%, royalties on oil production on federal land.
Don't you think that taxpayers should be getting money from federal land? Like, the people own that land, so they should be getting the money from it.
Sure, but when we're dealing with inflation, and if you look at when you look at inflation, by the way,
Well, but that's fiscal policy. I thought fiscal policy wasn't the primary driver of inflation.
well, no, this is about the production itself, not about.
Only when it. No. Oh, wait, sorry. The profit that we get from federal land oil rigging, that is a fiscal policy. That is taxation.
I think you're misunderstanding me. What I'm saying is that the increase in the royalties that they have to pay these producers on when
to the
they're
federal
drilling on
government.
federal land, that de-incentivizes producers, and it has done so.
Okay, but just to be extremely clear, that is a fiscal policy. I thought that all of the fiscal policies were only de minimis in effect of inflation.
Well, this isn't even really a fiscal policy or a monetary policy. It's just
fiscal policy.
It's an agency. It's just an agency making the Department of Energy making a rule about increasing oil. They deal with that stuff, right? Fiscal policy comes from Congress. The executive branch doesn't really.
So government spending and taxation. It's taxation, very clearly.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that the increase.
Policy. It is a fiscal policy. Can you just hear those words come out of your mouth? Like, it is a fiscal policy. Yes.
You're doing the semantics thing here again. That you were just complaining.
I'm not. It's by definition a fiscal policy. I think it's insanely dumb to say that fiscal policy doesn't affect inflation.
Sure.
That's wrong.
Sure, you can call all government spending and control over money fiscal policy. I specifically like to, when I say fiscal policy, I specifically like to focus on congressional budgeting. But
I think that's silly.
No, that's the way that most economists, when they say fiscal, they talk about congressional spending and congressional bills that talk about spending.
Congressionally authorized spending. The vast majority of quote unquote congressional spending is authorized policymaking by secondary federal agencies like this. And so actually part of the Inflation Reduction Act would be regulating how and in what cases they can increase tariffs or increase
you do understand that
royalties on this case.
You keep bringing up the IRA. You do realize that it's not like the IRA is a long-term thing. It's not just going to have an effect on inflation tomorrow.
No, I'm aware of that.
What?
But you dismissed it in whole.
I didn't dismiss it. I didn't even talk about it. All I said is
you said it has a de minimis effect on inflation.
I said minimal. It has minimal because it literally just got passed in 2021. So how can you expect us to have inflation next year? I mean, it's a 10-year, 20-year long program. That's when you should look at the effects of it. You can't just look at it the next year.
I mean, you can. You can look at the effects of it. Its immediate effects, its long-term effects, all of them. But great. Anyway,
you're not going to get an accurate picture.
Live. Okay. I mean, you will get an accurate picture of its short-term effects. But peace. I'm going to end this live. Bye, Queens.